Staan maar Wen. Ik ga de gasten eventjes uitnodigen. Shane weer sturen. En even kijken. Dus elke keer weer zoeken. Waar heb ik hem staan? Oké. Nou, vanavond hebben we weer eens een keer een live via TikTok. Doordat Gmail, excuses, en Google moeilijk deden, konden onze gasten niet inloggen via ons andere netwerk. Nou, het zou stabiel moeten zijn. Hi Shannon. Ik gooi hem even op 5G. En dat is gelukt. Dan haperen we in ieder geval niet. De Ravens. Uitnodiging verstuurd. En als het goed is...
Hallo.
Hallo. Nou, even kijken of James het kan vinden. Want hij had er overal al berichtjes gestuurd. Dus ik had al uitgelegd van dat onze Gmail een beetje moeilijk deed. En dat het dan heel moeilijk is om iemand uit te leggen.
Ik hoor je dubbel.
Hoe kun je mij nou in godsnaam dubbel horen? Ik heb één apparaat aan.
Nee, ik denk dat er 2 filmpjes aangegaan zijn. 2 keer... Ik ga je heel even opnieuw opstarten.
Oké. En weg is die weer. James, kom. Blijf van mijn koffie af. Vandaar dat we iets eerder zijn.
Kijk of je nou doet.
Ja, doe ik het nou?
Ja, nou doe je het. Nou vind ik je leuk.
Nou, JC wordt het hier uitgelegd. Vanavond hebben wij iemand live in de uitzending. Ben ik goed te verstaan trouwens?
Jazeker.
Ja, dat heeft van de week echt aan de StreamYard gelegen.
Ik
Ja.
weet het wel zeker.
Het is niet anders. Ja, ik heb ook gehoord van de connection van Jacqueline. Dus StreamYard doet heel raar. En dat voor €100 per maand. Even kijken. Nou, Shane is van alles aan het delen. Dan ga ik eventjes kijken of JC nou eindelijk komt. Het is een Amerikaans-Engelse uitzending.
Ja,
Ja.
met heel veel gehoest, dus ik ga tussendoor op mute. Want anders wordt het niks.
Even kijken. Waar blijft hij?
Zal er wel komen?
Ja, hij heeft al over een berichtje gestuurd van goh, hoe moet ik met jou connecten? Dus ik heb het wederom uitgelegd. En,
Ja.
Ja. Soms.
Hij is er wel nu.
Oké, JC neemt
Ja.
deel via de jou. Maar waarom kan ik hem niet uitnodigen?
Ja, dat is een goede vraag. Waarom volg ik hem niet? Dat vind ik sowieso al een slechte.
Dat is heel slecht.
Maar ik had hem van de week gevolgd, dus waarom dat er nou weer uit is dan?
Daar komt hij aan. De
Ah,
dokter. We have the doctor in the house.
it's sad that we can't do the alarms.
Wauw, 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 wauw. Lijkt dat erop? We kunnen hem niet horen. You have to put on the camera. And accept it. Ik hoor hem totaal niet.
Ik hoor wel geluiden. Can you hear us, JC?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Just can't see you yet.
I don't know why it's showing me. I can see myself on this end.
Well, that's weird.
That's really, really weird. Let me see.
I can see you guys and hear you. I can see myself, but it's not showing up in that block up there where it needs to be.
Well, if you click on that block, there should be a camera option on there.
Yeah, I did send an invite so you can unblock the camera.
It's not giving me a camera option for some reason. And I went away. Okay, hit camera at the bottom. Shows me on camera,
Yeah.
but I'm not in that block for some reason.
That is weird.
Am I missing a step?
No, it's supposed to be working. If you use the step on admitting that you want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even sent. Let me see something here. I even sent. I even requested to come on. Even maybe I thought I had to do that.
That shouldn't be the problem. Let me see. You have enough followers to go live.
Ah,
How about-
there he is. We found him.
Ah!
You got to hit the save button whenever you go hit the camera afterwards, in case somebody asks.
You missed a step.
Never done it. I never did it through this like that, so it was trial and error. But anyway, we got it.
We got it.
Exactly. And am I freezing? Oh my god. Not again.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Not stressing out, not at all.
It'll all work out, Mary.
At the end, it will work out. Well, welcome. How nice for you to join us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, and I know you for a year. How nice for you to join us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, and I know you for years. And
Long time. Yeah.
yeah, many years. And we had a
Yeah.
lot of fun. People here in Europe and our followers don't know who you are. So if you want to introduce yourself, that would be nice.
Well, I go by the nickname Dr. JC, Doctor of the Paranormal. I spent years helping people with paranormal problems. You name it. If you can think of it, I've done it, seen it, got it covered. I retired from boots on the ground helping people in 2019. It was just time. It just took a lot out of me, did a lot of cases. Some of them they made documentaries out of. I've been on a few documentaries on TV. Been on many different radio shows and podcasts and whatever. But yeah, if you can name it, I've done it to help people with paranormal problems. Been seeing spirits on and off since probably 3.5, 4 years old. And so now I focus on, I have a radio program on Night Dreams Talk Radio. I host a Monday show, and I try to bring guests on that maybe something they will say will, keep somebody from doing something they shouldn't do, or maybe it might resonate with somebody and help them, with some paranormal issues. I know a lot of well-known people in the paranormal. I try to bring some of them on my show. Matter of fact, I got Brian Cano coming on Monday from the Haunted Collector. Very well known.
Nice. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah,
Yep.
me too.
I've had like Dave Schrader on, and
Lucky
who else?
you.
Had Brandon Elvis on, Daryl Marston from Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
I've had Sean Austin on. You know, probably know Sean Austin.
Yes, I still have something to settle with that one.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I do now. And plus, I'm the producer of Night Dreams Talk Radio, which is one of the fastest growing, biggest shows out there. We're up to 179,000 subscribers on YouTube. We have
Wow.
bring a
Nice.
lot of great, yeah, we bring a lot of great guests on there. We average another 2 million on all the other apps. So I'm proud of that. You know.
Yeah, I can understand that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're one. If you do an AI search on Night Dreams, you'll see we're one of the fastest growing alternative radio shows out there.
I definitely will because I want to see that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a lot of big name guests on our show. You know, from Whitley Strieber to I don't know Dr. Greer to Ron Moorhead. We cover wide plus actors. We bring actors on. We had Thomas Jane on a couple times. Wide range of stuff. So anyway,
Very nice.
whatever you want to talk about paranormal wise, I probably got many cases and personal experiences, and we can go right into it.
That's probably what we're going to talk about.
Yes.
All right, looking forward to it.
So you just told us you were probably the age of 3 or 4 since your first paranormal experience. Can you tell more about that?
Yeah, whenever I was about 3.5, 4 years old, every day I would go outside and I would play with my friend who was a Native American, like an Indian boy, probably about my age, maybe a little bit, about the same size anyway. But, you know, he had like a little headband on, like a leather vest and some leather pants, and he was always barefoot. And we'd always play every day, you know, in the summertime because I wasn't allowed out much in the winter, you know, because I was only 3.5, 4. But so anyway, we'd play, and then every day I would go, my mom would say, hey, come in and eat lunch. And this was in the 70s, you know, so I'd go in to eat lunch, and I'd always ask my friend, hey, you want to come in and eat lunch with me? He'd always say, no, I don't want to go in there. So finally, I don't want to go and eat lunch. So finally, one day, I said, why don't you want to come in and you know, eat lunch with me? My mom, she has no problem with it, you know. And he says, I'm scared of the mean, evil man in there in my house. Now, remember, I'm 3.5, 4. I don't even know what spirits are. I have no clue what spirits are. To me, this is just a friend of mine. And I knew what he was talking about because there was an old, looking back, it was a spirit of an old man who was just nasty, grumpy old man in my house. But I didn't know. You know what I mean? I'm 3.5, 4. What do I know? So I knew what he was talking about. I said, okay. So anyway, fast forward a few more weeks. And I remember I just came home. My dad brought me home. I had a brand new Spider-Man comic book because that was my thing. So I go up and show my mom upstairs. And so I go back downstairs. And at the top of the stairs is this angry old man. He's standing at the top of the stairs. And he's got this scowl on his face that it could burn a hole through you, right? I'm like, oh, man. I've got to get by this guy to get down the stairs. So I figured I'd just scamper by him real fast. So I tried to get by him real fast, go down the stairs. And when I did, I felt 2 hands on my back. He pushed me down them steps, and I went flying
Oh my
on
God.
hardwood oak stairs. Blood everywhere. Really, you know, it was wondering I didn't break my neck or kill myself. But that was my first experience of something that wasn't very nice. And thankfully, about 2 weeks later, we moved out of that house. But, you know, looking back, that was probably a spirit of somebody that wasn't very nice. Didn't like kids or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been scary.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and I still think about that. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I can understand that. There's a question popping up. I don't know if it's in there because I didn't see the question that I'm about to ask. But if you had an experience like that, how come you continued on into paranormal. I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's a scary thing to do.
it is. And actually, that's a good question because I didn't want nothing to do with paranormal.
Exactly.
Believe me, I didn't even know what paranormal was. But, as you get older and you watch TV, and then I get into my, preteens, I still haven't experienced or seeing things, but I tried. Listen, it's awkward and hard enough to be a teenager growing up in this world, okay?
Yep.
So I tried to ignore all this stuff for years. I didn't want nothing to do with it. But it got to a point where I was about, I don't know, early 20s. Well, actually, before that, I was in high school. I was about 17. And there was this really rich girl. And she was really great looking too, right? And she was way out of my league. I already knew that. But I kept asking her, I said, hey, why don't you just come out with me, come out on the wild side or whatever. So finally she agreed, but she said, don't tell nobody. And I said, oh, sure, I won't tell nobody. So anyway, I got a 70 Chevelle, so we get in the car, and where I live out in the sticks back in them days, there was because I lived in the middle of nowhere in Bigfoot country, and they drill oil wells out in the middle of nowhere, but these roads they use is 1-lane dirt roads. It's only enough room for one car, right? And this goes back in a dead end. You can turn around and come back out the same way. But I grew up in the country, so I use those for like a lover's lane, if you know what I mean. So we go down there. I go in, I pull around, I turn around, I get the car facing out. We got a few beverages, and she says, I got to go to the bathroom. I said, well, sure, bathrooms all around you. Anyway, she gets out, she's in front of my car. Now, it's not quite a full moon, but it's pretty bright out, even though it's dark. And I got my lights off, but now she's right dead center of my car with her back to me, and she's doing her thing there. And I'm looking out in front of her, and in this dirt road in front of us, probably, I don't know, 35, 40 feet, whatever, out there. It's hard to judge the distance, somewhere around that. These 3 shadow people come out of the woods from the right to the left. They get to the middle of this road. They stop, and I swear to you, all 3 of them went like this. They turned their heads and looked at me. And I'm saying to myself, no, oh no. I'm like, God, please don't let her see these. Don't let her see these shadow people. Don't let her see them. They're right in front of her, and she's outside looking right at them, about 40 feet, whatever, in front of her. Sure enough, she looks up, and there they are. And they methodically just, all 3 turn their heads, right? I'm like, oh, God. And they're stopped, and they're just staring at us. Listen, she sees these shadow people. She holds up. She's up out of her breeches and shoes. She gets in my car. I mean, panicking, freaking out. And she's mad at me thinking I did this on purpose to scare her. And I'm like, believe me, the last thing I wanted for her to get scared, if you know what I mean. So it's like, oh, man, this date's going south real quick. She says she'd want me to leave. And I'm like, fine, this isn't going to go anywhere. Might as well take her home, right? But here's the catch-22. I can't get around these shadow people. Like, I got to go through them.
Okay.
I got to go through them. There's no way out.
Oh,
so
God.
anyway, my anxiety level's through the roof, and I've got her panicking over here to my left. So anyway, I go through them. When we went through them, it was like the whole inside of my Chevelle dropped about 10 degrees. It was freaky as all get out. We got out of there, took her home, but she never talked to me after that. She always, she wanted to do it. So, there's where, paranormal ruined a date. That one went south real quick.
Yeah.
So then a few years later, me and my cousin, we worked at the same job, and we lived with his mom, my aunt. They both passed on now, but this is in the late 80s, probably about mid 80s. So every night we would come home, and his mom had OCD, man. Like, as soon as you changed your dirty work clothes, she was on it washing them like she was crazy like that. But anyway, My cousin had this great big bedroom with a hardwood floor, and he was over this end, I was on this end. But every morning, because listen, like I said, my aunt, she would wash and fold these things before you could ever turn around. All were nice and neat. And it was on the stand by my bed. But every morning they'd be on the floor way over by the door. And I was like, I said, my cousin, what are you doing? You know, he swore you didn't do it. This went on for about 10 days or so. Because I just moved in there, you know, because I was in between. I was going to move to the East Coast in about 2 weeks. So no sense me getting an apartment for 2 weeks. So I just stayed with him, you know. So I stayed there a few more days. It almost gets to a 2 week period. And this was every day. It was monotonous. I'm thinking, I wonder if they're, you know, I don't tell them anything, but I'm thinking, I think there's, like, I didn't see any spirits in there, but I could feel something was going on. You know what I mean? Something was trying to get my attention. So then it came to a head one night. Now, here's the thing. We live in this, us three live in an apartment upstairs, but right below there was an apartment, and his future wife, which was my cousin's girlfriend, was right below us. And every night after work, he would go downstairs and hang out with her until he went to bed, and he'd come up and go to bed. Now, their apartment was directly underneath our bedroom. I mean, straight underneath those. So I told my aunt I'm going to bed. He's already down right underneath with his girlfriend. I walk in. I turn out the light. I just lay down maybe 10, 15 seconds later. And this is what I heard, and I'm going to describe it to you. You ever see them great big stainless steel pots that's probably like 3 foot wide and 3 foot high?
Yeah.
Imagine one of those full of a bunch of little stainless steel pots filled up.
That make a nice
I'm
noise.
laying down in bed, and what I heard was it sounded like somebody took that pot full of pots and slammed as hard as they could on that hard oak wood floor next to my bed.
Yeah.
Listen, it was so loud. My cousin come running upstairs. He thought something blew up. My aunt comes running in the bedroom, and time they peeled me off the ceiling, because I'm going to tell you, I thought my soul left my body. It was so shocking.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Freaked me out. I never experienced anything like that in my life, right?
Yeah.
They come running in, they thought something blew up, and here's where it gets weird. There was not one thing out of place in that whole room. I don't know how you explain that. That was so, I've never experienced anything near like that ever.
That's weird.
And when that happened, once I settled down, I was like, yeah, I know what's going on now. There had to be an old nasty spirit in there trying to get my attention. Probably could feel that I could feel him or see him or something, but I didn't want no part of it. You know, I tried to put that stuff aside. Anyway, I couldn't live there anymore. And thankfully I was moving the next day or two. So I had to get it. I couldn't stay there anyway. It wouldn't let me sleep after that. So I moved out of there, moved to the East Coast. And I had a friend on the East Coast, and he knew a lot of haunted locations. But this whole time leading up to that, I was always studying like demonology and reading all kind of books I could read, and because I was thinking I'm kind of like at the crossroads of my life. I either need to, because I can't ignore this stuff. So I might as well grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and I want to try to learn all I could about it, and try, at least maybe I can control some things instead of being, you know, having dates go south and being woke up all night, you know, getting crazy noises and stuff. So that's what I did. And I'm glad I did, because that really helped me a lot, and I learned a lot. So then I'm on the East Coast, and I'm doing something you shouldn't do. I would go investigate by myself all the time, you know, because I wasn't scared. I wasn't afraid of anything. I could be spooked very easily. Yeah, somebody slams a bunch of pans next to me, you're going to put me to the roof.
Exactly.
But, yeah. So anyway, I was studying all that stuff, and so I decided, you know, look, I can't ignore it. It won't go away. So I just made a decision in my early 20s. I need to just grip it by the horn and try to control things if I could, you know. And so I learned a lot and did a lot, and I got where I could control things and keep things at bay and learn how to get rid of things, and just a whole wide arrangement of stuff I learned.
Yeah, cool.
You know? So anyway,
that's a good thing.
Yeah. And then I used all that knowledge I had to to, something just told me, God or whatever, said I needed to take what I know to try to help people.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what I
I
did.
study.
And that's what I did. One day I was living on the East Coast and this, I don't know, probably mid 90s or so. And this family I knew that lived a few houses away, just toward like the end of the block. Um, Two of the brothers came into the house one night and he was like, why is Ghost freaking out? It was like, man, you got to come help us, man. Our sibling there's something wrong. We know you study a lot of stuff, mate. You got to know what to do. Please help us. So anyway, I walk down there. I go in the house. I don't know how to explain this, but they were foaming at the mouth, speaking languages that they should not even. I know they didn't know because I knew the person. Like a wild dog. I mean, that house was tore up. Okay, their parents weren't home. Now they were young adults, but they were all still living with their parents. Now the parents were out of town for the night, and anyway, their house was tore up like a wild dog, just crazy, just out of their mind.
Mm.
There's no reason for it, right? It was like this was a normal person, like something's up. They didn't know what was up. Now the two brothers that came and got me, they were pretty good sized guys. I mean, they're 250 plus, and 6 foot plus. And actually, the sibling that was having issues, they were the smallest. So I said, look, I think I know what to do, but first we got to find out what's going on. So what I found out was that their sibling, unbeknownst to them, was playing with a Ouija board by themselves. Okay, so what happened? They had a neighbor they knew it was like this neighbor lady was like it was like a grandmother to them. That's what they thought. I mean, just like a grandmother, and she had died, and their sibling was so sad that they still wanted to connect with them, so they was using a Ouija board by themselves. So what had happened? She wasn't talking to the grandmother or the sibling or whatever. Where they weren't talking. Whenever they were using it, they weren't talking to the grandmother. Okay, it was something else. It was lying to them, and come to find out, whatever they were talking to, pretty much, for lack of better words, possessed them. Got inside them
Yeah.
and turned them into a crazed animal. So I had them. Once we figured all this out, had them pretty much. It was all they could do to get them in a chair and try to get them maintained. And on a short story, make this long story short, it took about 5 hours to get this thing exorcised out of them.
Yeah.
It took. I thought it was going to kill all three of us, man. That was my first exercising of things, and it was. I just made this executive decision. Look, I can do this. Let's get it done. Because you want to wait 3-4 months to see if the church can do it. They might be dead by then.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that there was an advantage because whatever this was, it wasn't in them very long. And the longer something's in something, it's harder, I've found. But anyway, bottom line, we got this thing out. And of course, the person was wiped out, so we just had them, look, just go to sleep. You need it. Everything's good now. We got rid of this thing. But the house was tore up. And now the other two brothers, they're freaking out because their parents are going to be home in the morning. And I was like, they didn't want to tell them. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll tell you what, let's just clean up. So we cleaned up the house. I remember the parents come home and it's like, oh, you guys clean up the house for us. And I remember it was like, that's the least we can do for you guys. You do so much for us, It's like, oh, they only knew.
Nice
But
shave.
yeah, that was my first. From there on, and then I just figured, you know what, I need to do what I can do to help people if I can help them. So that's what I did from that time on. Now, like I said, I did investigate a lot by myself. You shouldn't do that. I don't recommend that because I've seen a lot of things that you can't unsee and done some things because sometimes it's not just the spirits. I mean, you can go into a place that's got mold or asbestos or
Yes.
rotten floors or you name it, all kind of stuff.
Homeless people.
Oh yeah, there's nothing more spooky than stumbling across some homeless guy sleeping in a corner of an old decrepit building.
Yeah, and you barge in their place, so they get angry for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be worse than a nasty spirit sometimes.
Exactly. That's I always say that people scare me most. Then spirits don't scare me.
Yeah.
I
I
like
used to,
spirits more than humans. I swear.
yeah, and spirits, you don't have to, take a chance of having a lawyer bill after you knock somebody out.
Exactly. That's one
Right?
thing. Um, Coming back to the story about you investigating alone, did you ever start your own team or join the team?
I never started my own team. Now, over the years, I've helped many teams because sometimes they would go to a house and there would be something there that was, either above their pay grade or something that was more than evil spirit, if you get what I'm saying. So I would go help teams. Like I used to help Archangel Paranormal Society for a lot. I still help OPIT once in a while. I used to help them a lot. And we did a lot of investigations together. I evicted a lot of stuff. But that's, I pretty much was, I would just come in and help people that needed help or teams. And that's the other thing with paranormal. A lot of people, they get addicted to the paranormal. It's like a drug, man. It's
Yeah.
they gotta have me. I didn't want it. I walked away from it. I'm happy. I never seeked it out. I only did it because it was just like a calling. That I had knowledge to help people, and it would be worse not to use that knowledge to help people. But over so
Yep.
many years, I can only do so much because it took a lot out of me to do these things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I used to find spirit portals. I used to find them and close them like a Reiki master would. That takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
I used to detach spirits that would be attached to somebody.
Mm.
I used to exercise land, people, objects, all that stuff. People don't realize that just it takes that's a lot of energy work. It takes a lot out of it.
Yeah, it does. Definitely.
And over the years, it was enough. It was just enough. It was just time for me. It was time to move on to the next step. Was maybe educate people through what I know or through what my guests may know on my radio show.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I hear you did a lot of residential investigations with other teams in that case, in that regard. But did you also go on location on
Oh yeah, I've
Waverly
been a
Hills, for
lot of.
instance, or something?
Oh yeah, no, I've been a lot of locations. I've been a lot of well-known places. Bobby Mackey's, Waverly, Ohio State Reformatory, Eastern State Reformatory. Been to a lot of well-known places in the United States, from like east of Mississippi. I will say I've been to a lot of prisons. I don't know what it is about prisons, but they've got some of the worst spirits in the world there.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been to a lot of prisons, Moundsville, Ohio State, but of all the prisons I've been to, the one that sticks out above all the others is Eastern State, which is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know what it is about that place. There's a lot of bad mojo in there, man. I'm going to tell you. I can still, going down the highway, you're on Interstate 70, and you can see this gloomy, doomy, gothic looking old stone thing that's been there since the 1830s, I think. It's like you can see it miles off. It just like beckons you, to dares you to come there. It's like, oh man, it just it's horrible. I don't know what it, and plus, and then when you get there, what's inside, oh Lord, there's so much bad stuff in there. If anybody's going there to investigate, man, whatever your higher power is, you better grip it and use it to protect yourself before, during, and after. Honestly,
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. Well, if it ever comes to that, I probably will. Because I heard a lot of bad shit and crazy shit about uh, all kinds of prisons.
And then there's like the big three. You got prisons, and then you've got defunct hospitals and asylums.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those three have the worst of the worst for some reasons. There's the worst of the spirits, and I just think because a lot of negative. I think what it is, a lot of negative stuff has happened. Some of these places are 100, 150 years old,
Yeah.
and some of the staff that worked there, plus the people that's there, a lot of them were not right in the mind. They would abuse the patients, and the patients abuse each other, and you get 100 years of this stuff. That's just a lot of bad stuff in one area.
Yep.
It attracts a lot of other bad stuff. And I mean, some of these places like Leftwich, man, they used to pull the patient's teeth if they would try to bite them. And we're talking
Exactly.
with no anesthetic and I'm just tying in a chair and just start yanking. I mean, how horrible would, that's going to leave an imprint. That's
Yeah, I know how that feels. It just was one tooth. It wasn't the rest of it without
yeah,
anesthetics. I know
right.
how
So
that
all them,
feels.
right, and them places are just ripe with a lot of negativity. So
Yeah, it is.
beware when you go to those places. I actually went to one that was defunct. It was a asylum, but it wasn't a very big one. It was in Connecticut, and it's not there now. They tore it down. This was back in the '80s, and it was defunct in the '80s. And when they built the casinos, that was, I don't know if it was part of it, but it was nearby or whatever. They tore it down as part of the land that went with it or something. But anyway, because my friend says, "Oh, that place is haunted. Go in there." So anyway, and I don't think you're supposed to be there, so it's probably trespassing on top of that. Anyway, I go into the main foyer, and there's nobody in there because I thought, like we was talking earlier, I thought, oh, there's probably going to be some homeless people floating around here. So I was on guard, for that. Didn't see anything, but I probably took maybe 10 steps into this little four-way, and then behind me, I heard what sounded like somebody took a coffee can and slammed it against the wall. And
Damn.
I can tell you what, that spooked me. Because I'm like, oh, I mean, I probably hit the ceiling. I jumped so high, and I turn around and I'm like, there's one of these homeless people snuck up. But how could they? Because there's a little four-way. There's no way they could hide unless they came in through the door, and I would have heard the door open. So I knew, okay, there's nobody here. That was something, spirit going on. And I'm looking, and I could see there was a can, like a little, I don't know, little coffee can or something, tin can. But it looked like it got from one end of the wall to the other. Now I guess it was a spirit because there's nothing else in there, and there was no animals.
Yeah.
And I started getting real bad feeling, starting feeling really bad sick. And usually, if I feel real bad sick, the sicker I get, the worse something is in there, spirit wise. That's usually my gauge. The sicker I get, the more evil something is, or bad, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So something was just telling me I need to get out of there. So I left. I didn't stick around, but perfect example of beware of where you go.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um, can you tell us about the most remarkable experience you had?
I've had so many. Probably one of the most mind blowing things I've had. I was going to do a case. Let me see. Okay, let's see if I can explain this. So, Tony Balsito, you probably know Tony, Mary.
Yes.
He owned Paranormal or Archangel Paranormal Society for years. I think he retired now, and I used to investigate with them and help them when they had something really bad. He would call me up and say, "Hey, can you help us get rid of this or this?" I'd say, "Sure." So anyway, about 6 months earlier, he was going to this place, and I had shared it in one of my main group there, a spiritual paranormal. I shared it in there, help give this guy some prayers. Help. I didn't go with him, He didn't need me. I said, okay, if you need me in the future, whatever, just give me, where you know how to get a hold of me. So anyway, fast forward 6 months, and this lady I know who is extremely psychic, I call her a seer, but she always seems to tune in on the really bad stuff. She's just drawn to it. I don't know why. Out of the blue, she messaged me and says, I was going back. Something told me to go back and look at something, and she went to this post I had 6 months ago. You know how hard it is to pull up a post from 6 months ago on a group? I can't even do it. My phone will freeze up when I get back 1 month. Somehow she pulled up that one post for that one group to help Tony go to this place that had bad stuff.
Yeah.
And she says, and this is where it gets mind-blowing, because she says, Tony's going to be calling you in the next day or two, or probably within the next day, to go help him to go back to this place. I'm like, what, really? She said, yeah. She said, there's something so bad there, it's laughing at you and everybody, challenging you guys, because it knows that you're going to be coming. I didn't think nothing. I was like, whatever. I kid you not, a half hour later, Tony calls me out and says, "Hey, you know that place? You know that place that I went to? You set up a thing to help with prayers and all that." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Don't tell me. You want me to go there and help you?" He said, "Yeah, you know, like, well, you're not gonna believe this, Tony, but yeah." So that was pretty mind blowing. And she described this lady. Now, this lady lives on the West Coast. This is in here in Ohio, which is 2,500 miles away. She described the house inside and out, where the bad stuff was, and everything. Before we ever got there, she knew I was going to go help them because this thing told her. It was pretty mind blowing stuff, and she was right about all of it. Man, we went there, and yeah, there was some bad stuff there. We got it out. It was funny that day because I went to help Tony, and he brought a couple of his team as assistants, and I brought one of my people to help with assistants. So it was like 5 of us. And anytime I go there with a group, whoever, I always stop a half mile away or so and get out. I kind of give a check to everybody because make sure everybody is spiritually, physically, and mentally ready to go in there. Because if you have any hesitation, you can't afford to go in and face the worst of the worst because you're going to be a target or the weakest link. We can't have that. You can't have any hesitation. So I got to make sure everybody was on their game and knew the situation and wanted to go forward. Everything was good. So my friend Linda, it was really hot that day too, and I used to keep my holy water in little water bottles, like drinking water bottles. I'd fill them up and pass them around to everybody, you know. And she said, "Oh, I need a drink." She picked up that holy water and just started drinking. Like, Linda, think about holy water. It's got blessed sea salt in it. It's like taking a drink of the ocean. You know, it's horrible.
Yeah.
She was like, "Well, at least I'm cleansed from the inside out." I said, "Yeah, you sure are." Good Lord. But anyway, we went in and we got that stuff out of there. But that was pretty mind blowing. Listen, this stuff knows you're coming before you ever get there. Don't think it doesn't. Perfect example right there.
Yeah.
Exactly. You talked about the cleansing part of the friend you had, and that has a lot to do, which you are also known about, the demonology part. Did you ever study that?
Yeah, that's what I studied for years. Probably from early 20s, early to mid 80s, right on up to the mid 90s. I studied it all the time.
That's a long time.
Yeah, well, believe me, I wanted to cover my bases because I wanted to grab this stuff by the horns of this paranormal. I wanted the worst, the best, all of it. Because knowledge is power. The more you can take in, and I got a pretty good memory, I can with keep it in. I know it. If I don't know something and need to know it, and I don't know it, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? So I learned. So I had all this knowledge, what to do, and I basically did it to keep myself safe and control my own life. To be honest with you, but
Smart.
it turned out to be able to help other people too.
Yeah. The next question you already answered. That was have you ever encountered something demonic? But we already had that answer.
Oh yeah, but I was like this. Yeah, I was like the specialist because people say, "How do you get so much stuff?" Well, I'm like, well, here's the reason. Usually, most of the time, 50% of the time, I would be called to go in and help. They already knew something was there. It wasn't like we were just investigating. They already knew. They had already done the investigation. They knew what was there. They had stuff on video or audio, and that validated what was there.
Yeah.
But even with all that, like if I was still going there, we'd go back and investigate, and I could get a good feel on what was there. But I still want to validate in many ways we can. Like if I think I would always take another psychic or two with me, and if I felt there was a portal somewhere, you usually can feel it. It feels off when you come across these spiritual portals. But I wouldn't just say, "That's it, it's right there." I would see if the other people could feel it. And then usually an EMF meter will pick right up on it. It'll usually pick up on a spiritual portal. And there's no reason for an EMF meter to be going off if there's no wires or nothing around to set it off.
No,
So that's usually where. And then the other way I would validate it, I would take a pendulum and hold it straight down. Just hold it there. And if there's a spirit portal there, it will start moving on its own. This pendulum. Okay? That is a validation that it's there. And then I would close it like a Reiki master would. And sometimes you got to do it 2-3 times if it depends how big the portal is to close these things. And here's the thing. I did a case. There was another mind-blowing case I did. Probably one of the last 3 cases I ever did before I retired was just off the hook. Just any one of those 3 could have been your White Album, like the most mind-boggling case. I did 3 in a row like that. My last 3. And this one, they even did a story about it on one of the documentaries. But anyway, the family, they'd lived in this house for 25 years, okay? For 20 years of it, they had no issues, nothing wrong at all, nothing. Then one day, all hell broke loose. Like, they had a crucifix fly off the wall above their bed, cleared the bed and landed out by the door, okay? If something just falls off, it's not going to go a 10 foot that way.
No, it's just going to fall.
That takes a force. Believe me, I've tried to debunk all this stuff. It doesn't happen. So, whatever was so evil there, it was mimicking their pet dog. Doppelganger and the dog. It was mimicking the husband. It was mimicking the wife. It was mimicking their. They had a grown child in the house. He was like 40, but he had autism. He was basically like 12-year-old, but sweet kid. But he's like a 12-year-old and a 40-year-old, body living with them. But anyway, they couldn't figure out what was going on, what's causing this. Because remember, they'd lived there for 20 years peaceful, right? This stuff just doesn't happen. Something had to happen. So, and I asked them, I'm like, have you had any other teams or anybody come in there? Now, they had 3 teams and 2 priests, different priests come into that house in the next 5 years and didn't solve anything. Just made it worse after they'd leave. And here's why. I come to find out, first of all, I had to figure out what was going on, what caused something, why all of a sudden after 20 years, all hell was breaking loose in this house. You got to figure out why, what causing it. How did it get in there? So I figured all that out. And here's the other thing. No matter what's in a house, if there's a spirit portal there, you can bring the Pope in himself personally and bless that house, exercise everything. But if he doesn't look and close a portal, give it 3 weeks or a month, you're right back to square A because that portal wasn't found or closed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was what was going on. Matter of fact, that house and the little land that it was on, it had 8 spirit portals. 8. That's the most spirit portals I ever came across in my life. Well, on a case. 8 of them. And I'm going to tell you something. I would still be at that house trying to deal with these portals and everything there if I hadn't had a great team with me. I had Opit with me. We was there. And Melissa, the founder, her sister was there. And she's a Reiki master. And that was like a blessing from God. She just happened to show up to visit her sister and said, hey, you want to come help? If she hadn't been there, I don't know what we'd have done. Because she was able to help me, because she's a Reiki master, do like they do to find and close these portals. Because that takes a lot out of you, especially 8 of them. That's unheard of. And what was going on through detective work and a lot of figuring out, the son, he was playing video games online through like Xbox or one of them. And he come across these, and he don't know no better. He just wants to interact and have a good time with people. And he had come across some bad people that had him say some stuff that he shouldn't be saying. And by him doing that, it invoked and invited something really bad into their house. That's what happened. Okay, once we figured all that, that's what happened. Once we figured all that out, so we knew what we was dealing with. We found the portals, had to close all those. There was a lot going on in that house. Matter of fact, I got to a point, I knew whatever was there was in the attic of this place. We had it all cleaned, but I said, it's in the attic. Now, the problem with the attic in this house, you had to go outside and take a ladder and climb up on the roof of the kitchen. And he had plywood, screwed to cover the entrance to the attic on the outside. That's the only way he had to get in there. So we get up on this ladder. And now here's the other thing. the pitch on this roof was probably 30 degrees, and I'm thinking, man, whatever is bad here is going to push me off this roof.
Exactly.
I just knew it, you know. So we're up there. So far, so good. He takes the screw gun. He takes the screws out. He takes the board off. And I know it's in this attic. And he says, don't worry, I got 2 lights in there. I'll turn the light on. Now, it's got one of them pull strings, just a ball and a pull string. Now, he goes to reach to grab the string. Before he ever touched that string, that ball blew up. It went poof. I'm going to tell you something. If you're ever in a place and you go to turn a light on, but before you touch the light and it blows up, that's a red flag. There's something bad going on here, okay?
Definitely.
And I'll give him credit, man. He didn't spook. He says, don't worry, there's another light at the back of the place. Now, here's the other catch-20. This freaking attic had what you call like 2x8s boards. You know, it's about this wide, and they're like this. And then they're about this far apart. And in between them he had like shredded insulation. But if you get a misstep and you step down there, you're going to end up go through that drywall and be in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You don't want that to happen.
How many chances of something bad going on, an accident happen, could you get, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm right behind him. We're straddling these 2x8s. And as soon as he turns on the other light, this one didn't blow up. He turned it on. As soon as he turned it on, whatever was in there, it came up like a tornado, and like the insulation in between those 2x came up like a tornado like this. It was freaky as all get out. And I seen this thing. I seen what it looked like. He didn't see it. He only seen the back of it because it did. Like when he seen it, it turned. He seen the back of his head, and his head. The best way I can describe his head was it had like all spikes coming out all over. Like imagine a ugly face with spikes all over coming out. That's what it looked like. He didn't see that. He just seen the back of it. And because when it did that, it went down between like where the roof comes down and where these floors hit. There was like a little vent there. It went out there. So anyway, I cleansed that house and got there. He didn't see it. Thank God, because I still have visions of that thing that I saw. It was nasty. So we got done. Bottom line, it took 26 straight hours of finding these portals, closing them, blessing that place. There was so much that happened at that house. It was just mind-boggling. We caught spirits on the SLS. The SL, is it SLS? Yeah, SLS. We caught them spirits. The stick figures caught them on there. There was so much. Whatever was there was so bad and nasty. And between their house and this other house, there was about a 6-foot section. And there was no access between these houses because they had a fence nailed to the houses that keep people out and go between the houses. And at the bottom of the fence was about this much space. And there was a little bit of ambient light shining. So when you look underneath these boards, you see a little bit of ambient light shining in. Now, you know what it looks like when somebody's on the other side of a door. You ever look under a door and you can see where somebody's blocking because they're blocking off the light, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing that. I'm outside. I'm like, but I knew there was nobody in there because there's no way to get in there unless you climb out a window. And who's climbing out the window at, midnight to go floating around between houses for no reason? So I knew there was nobody. So I'm thinking, I'm going to try to catch whatever's back there. So I took my cell phone, held it up over the fence, and I'm trying to film it, right? And I'm looking on my cell phone. It's showing 78% charged. Because I want to make sure. And I'm looking at the meter went like this. It sucked it dry just like that instantly. Phone dead. Boom. Killed the phone. Instantly killed my phone.
Wow.
Done. So afterwards, the next day we got home. I took my phone to a cell phone. That's all they do is fix and work on cell phones, right? Guy looking at it goes, "What did you do? The whole motherboard's fried." I'm like, and the phone was only a year old. I'm like, well, I didn't tell him what happened, but never heard it. Totally killed my phone, But there's so much that happened in that place. Like another time I was there, I was walking out of the kitchen because between the house and the backyard was another little cabin where their son would stay all the time. So I'm walking out there to get. And when it was in that place, it smelled so putrid. Oh, the smell in that little cabin was horrible. It wasn't because there was anything rotten or bad in there. It's because whatever was in there was bad. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
spirit.
Mhm.
Oh my! It was so bad. Without that smell, it was hard to work in there because it was making me sick. To be honest with you, it was all I could do to just not be sick and withstand all that. We
Yeah.
got that all fixed up, got all that out of there. But the one time I was walking between the house and that cabin, and I had a bottle of my holy water in my back pocket. So as I'm walking, I felt and heard, when you squish a water bottle, you hear that crinkling noise, And I didn't
Yeah.
have the lid on all real tight because I was using it. But I felt somebody squish it, and holy water went up my back, and I thought somebody was messing with me. It didn't make sense. Why would they do that? It's serious stuff. So I turn around.
Exactly.
There's nobody to be seen. So I'm thinking whatever was there was just trying to get me out of holy water, which I had plenty of it. Little less than they know, I had an old trunk full if I needed it. And and another thing I used to do, especially with that house, I would take a humidifier and fill it up with holy water and turn it on and let it run, man.
Yeah.
It gets all that holy water in the air.
Exactly.
One of the greatest ideas ever. Just
Yeah. I,
pump it. Yeah.
it,
Sometimes you got to listen. Sometimes you got to kick it up a notch. Just saying.
definitely. If you have so many portals, that's the only way to do it.
It took
Yeah.
26. It took us 26 hours, me and 5 other people, to take care of that, to wrap it all up and everything. And the time we got home, it took me 2 weeks to get back, to even being semi back to where I was 100%. I mean, it took a lot
Yeah.
out of me. And that was one of the
It
last
drains
cases.
you.
Yeah, that was one of the last cases I did. Next to the last, I think it was a lot. I just knew it was time to, if I can't do things full strength to help people, I shouldn't be
Mm.
doing it because I could cause worse problems. So I was like, it was just my time to retire from that. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's either gonna bring the people in trouble or you or yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I can't do something full strength and be completely confident, I don't want to do it. Especially if
Hmm.
something you're doing with people's lives.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely. Now we're swapping to the next part. Do you have any tips for newbies in the field? The do's and the don'ts if they are
Any
going
tips?
to investigate?
Any tips for new people?
Yeah.
Well, the first tip I tell people who want to get into paranormal is don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Okay, here's the thing. Here's what you need to consider. You got to put your own wants aside and think about it. You got a family, you got kids, you got pets, because they're all, whether you want to admit it or not, once you dip your toes in the paranormal, they are all susceptible to whatever you're messing with, because this stuff will follow you home, and it can. And all it takes is for you to drop your guard one time, and it's
Yep.
there. So you need to consider that, first of all. Second of all, I would say do like I did, man. Before you dive into doing anything, read all you can read and do all the research you can do. And if you can call and talk to your local, because there's investigators and paranormal teams all over. If you can, you know, build a rapport with a local one, maybe they'll take you with you. Just be quiet and just go with them, just to see how things are done. And the other
Exactly.
thing I would say, whatever your higher power is, you need to grip it, use it before, during, and after. Whatever that may be, you need to use it.
Hmm.
But and then the other thing I would say, don't ever investigate by yourself. And when you're going somewhere, let somebody know and how long you're going to be, and just common sense stuff like that. That would be the best advice I can give anyway if wants to get into the paranormal, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of TikTok users that are now all of a sudden paranormal investigators, and they do stuff that we're like, oh crap, we're going to find someone dead very soon. Seriously,
Yeah.
This
I don't know what they do, but it's not called paranormal investigating.
No, there's a lot of you're putting yourself in danger, like I say, your family, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not the spirits. Like I say, I've been to a place I fell through the floor. You know, it could
Yeah.
happen. These
Yeah,
places,
that's danger as well. Yeah.
and a lot of them old buildings, they've got, especially in the basement, old places, because they used to wrap the pipes with asbestos wrap, and
Yep,
that stuff give you that stuff will kill you. You know.
At the
it
long
will.
run, yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
hazardous shit.
very, very, yeah. And there are lots of old buildings who has it.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite piece of equipment that you use?
Um. I always say, honestly, the best piece of equipment you could use is yourself. Honestly, you don't have to be a full blown psychic or anything. If you just really listen, your body will let you know if something's up, or your gut feeling, if you can really just tune into that. Honestly. But I mean, I like to use the SLS because I think I get a throw out of the little stick figures bouncing around and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, I always say, listen, your body is the best piece of equipment. Honestly,
Absolutely.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agree. Yeah. And
Intuition always works.
yeah.
Always, if something's telling you to get out of there,
Yeah.
it's
The
because it's
gift.
Get
wanting
out
to,
of there.
it's doing what's best for you.
Yeah.
But the problem is, a lot of people don't want to listen to that stuff, and then you reap the repercussions afterwards.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah. Let me see. You live in Ohio, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Is there any haunted location in your area?
Oh, there's a lot of haunted look. Like there's the Ohio State Reformatory. It's not far from me.
Yeah.
The Bel Air House. I've been there probably 4 or 5 times. It's in Bel Air, Ohio. Amazing haunted stuff goes on in that place. It, I can't even describe. I've seen an orb with my real naked eye. We got it on film. I got some screenshots from it. I've seen a spirit standing in a corner in one bedroom in that place. Looked like you ever see that movie Insidious? How the spirits there looked are beaming straight ahead. That's what this spirit was. It was like just stuck in a corner, like beaming straight ahead. It was freaky looking. Hadn't seen a cabinet open on its own and shut. Heard somebody walk up the steps behind me. There was nobody there. I thought it was one of the team members. There was nobody behind me. A lot of stuff goes on in that place. There's Franken. Was it Franken? What is it? Yeah, the Franken Castle in Cleveland. There's a lot of places in Ohio it's haunted. It really is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
can't imagine how big Ohio is
No.
It's
because we
about
live in the smallest country around. So
Yeah, it's about 300 miles across, 330 miles across probably, and the same up north and south. It's pretty good size, you know.
that's already, well, what is it? I think 6 times our country.
Yeah, and you're
And
what,
we live,
Norway,
no,
I
the
think
Netherlands,
so.
Netherlands?
the smallest country in the world. I swear.
No. Monaco.
I don't care. That's not a country. That's a state.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Listen, you're retired from investigating, but
I mean, I still go once in a while. Like I'll get asked to come be a guest investigator or something. I once or
okay.
twice a year I'll do that. But other than that, yeah, my days of boots on the ground is I'm good with it.
That's a good thing. But is there any place in the area you haven't been to, but you wish to go?
Not in my area. The one place I always wanted to go to is in, I think, Romania, the Baciu Forest or whatever it is.
Yeah, about your forest. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was always the one place above anywhere else I wanted to go because it's got everything. It's got
Yeah.
aliens and ghosts and
Yeah.
werewolves and all kind of freaky stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've always been curious about that forest as well.
Yeah, there's so much going on there.
Yeah,
There's a lot
absolutely.
of mythology about that forest, so I am curious. Is that all true?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
Shane can ask you anything about the podcast and what you're doing now.
Yeah,
So
I have to switch my page.
do you have a bucket list? If you have all the time, all the money, do you have a bucket list, the top 5 worldwide, what you're going to investigate?
Yeah, that Bocce Forest is at the top. Then I think Dracula's Castle would be a good one too. I think that would be that one, maybe the one they call the Frankenstein Castle.
Yeah.
And really any because of my German heritage, any of those old haunted German places. And there's some places in the UK too that's so old and it's got such a long. We're talking 1,000 years of history there. It's just like layers of spirits going on there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're
And
really
there's a
right.
lot. There's a lot of haunted castles in Germany. A lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's about 15-minute drive. I'm in Germany, so
Yeah, you're right there.
yeah,
Right.
home game, home game. um, last question. You live in Bigfoot country. Have you ever encountered one?
And encounter what?
Bigfoot.
Oh, well, yeah, I live in Bigfoot country. Matter of fact, Salt Fork State Park has got one of the most high sightings of Bigfoot there is, and that's about 30 miles from my house. One time, back again when I was about 17, me and 3 of my friends were out driving in Bigfoot country because we was enjoying some beverages. So it's kind of a cold, misty night, and it's kind of like storming a little bit, and it's about 2 in the morning. We're on the side of this little mountain, and we stopped to take a little break to relieve ourselves. And down below this mountain, there's a fence there, but it's like it's a cow field, okay? It goes down like this, down off this little mountain, and down at the bottom, it levels out, but there's no trees, not because it's cow field, but there's one tree, probably a 300-year-old oak tree, like straight ahead of us down at the bottom of this, probably, let's say 70 yards away down at the bottom of this little mountain. And again, it's like misting, and it, like when lightning would light, it would like light up that field. Like the flash from the lightning, and it would, real quick, you could light up that field. You see a cow here, a cow there, and we're all facing down that way, just, relieve ourselves. So one time this lightning lit up, and when it did, it looked like about an 8-foot, 4-foot wide, either naked, angry Amishman in the middle of nowhere, standing underneath an oak tree in the middle of a lightning storm in a field, which is not very smart, and we're 2 miles from the next house, or it was Bigfoot. Now here's the thing: this was back. Bigfoot wasn't on our radar. We always thought Bigfoot was out west or something. We didn't realize. But like this, when we all seen that, and then it lit up again right away, and then it wasn't there. We all jumped in the car, and the driver, we was spinning tires. We was out. We never talked to each other. We went straight home. None of us ever missed it after that ever again. So was it Bigfoot or was it a naked hairy Amishman? I don't know. I would say probably was because a lot of Amish live out there. It's probably a Bigfoot, I would say.
Yeah.
But that all happened that same day on year when I seen them shadow people, and that date went south with that girl. But yeah.
I seriously hope it was Bigfoot because my images, my brain is thinking in images. So if I see a naked Amish guy, no, I'd rather see Bigfoot.
Not just a naked one that's 8 foot tall and about 4 foot wide.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
No, make it Bigfoot.
Better be Bigfoot.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
That was your last question, right, Mary?
Yes.
All right, then we'll go over to the podcast you make.
Yes.
You started as a podcast host. What year did you start?
Well, I started about 7 years ago as the producer of Night Dreams Talk Radio, and then probably I've had my own show on Mondays there for the last couple years. called JC, Dr JC, Doctor of the Paranormal on Night Dreams Talk Radio Network. I host a Monday show. Mine is a podcast because I record it and then we play it on Mondays. But yeah, I bring a lot of great guests on. I had Lori Johnson on,
Yeah.
psychic medium from Ghost of Shepherdstown, sweet lady. I've known her
Mm-hmm.
for a while. I had her on last week. And like I say, Monday I'm going to have Brian Cano back on. I've had a lot of well-known people, and then I've had a lot of people come on that aren't well-known, but they've experienced a lot of bad stuff, and what they went through, maybe somebody will hear and help them from what they say, deal with what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about your experience? How do you like doing it? The hosting part.
Oh, I love it. One thing about hosting and bringing guests on that cover the paranormal and investigate, I've walked the walk, so I can relate to anything they're talking to. I'm not like a host that doesn't know, hasn't walked the walk.
No.
You know what I mean? Whenever you are talking about a subject that you've done, that makes you more knowledgeable, and you can relate on their level of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a viewers' questions. Why did you start doing the podcast?
The main reason, because I'm going to tell you, I stayed off social media for years because it's just evil. I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
But so finally in like 2016, I just made a decision. I'm going to get on it, different social media platforms, because I can reach more people and maybe educate them with what's going on, and maybe it could help somebody. That was, because listen, let's face it, social media's got a wide reach. You can educate a lot of people with something, with maybe what your guests will say or what I could say, or educate people with my experiences. And that's why I got on it, and that's why I eventually, now I'm on TikTok and X and Facebook and a whole bunch of different things. And that was my reason for getting on any podcast or any social media.
Yeah, cool. She asked afterwards, what is your favorite subject?
I don't know. I like history a lot, I guess, if we want to talk about subjects, or more specific about subject into what. But I got a pretty good memory, so I don't forget much. If I can read it, it'll stay with me pretty much, which is like a kind of a gifted talent from God, I guess you could say. But on that same note, you can't unsee a lot of things, so
Yeah.
True.
I've got a lot of crazy nightmares, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I can understand that. What about the ghost stories you present?
What about what?
The ghost stories.
What about them?
What? How do you get to the ghost story parts? The things you talk about.
I don't know how you kind of want me to say that, but
Well, you used to tell a lot of ghost stories. How did you get to that? How do you get to your real experience about the paranormal to telling ghost stories?
oh, okay. Probably the main thing, because a lot of people don't want to tell their things, and I just, to me, knowledge is power, man. If somebody can hear or learn something, or how to deal with it, or how to avoid things, or protect yourself from these things, man, this world would be a lot better place. But the only problem is there's an X factor that people are going to do what they want to do anyway. So you might as well, give them the opportunity to learn about what they're about to do. Maybe it'll help them deal with it and protect themselves from what they may encounter. And that was the main reason why I wanted to tell my stories, or my ghost stories, or interview people that has their own. It could be way worse than anything I've ever seen or dealt with.
I hardly doubt. I doubt that. I think this yours are worst. I swear, when you told me the first story, I was like, "Oh, okay, what?
Yeah,
Wow."
Getting pushed. I could still feel them hands getting pushed down, and those were oak stairs, man. I was a bloody mess.
I can, yeah, I know the oak stairs. I've seen those
thankfully-
things.
Thankfully I wasn't very big or heavy, at 3.5, 4 years old, so it wasn't a lot of inertia coming down on myself. I'd probably could have killed myself. It would have been up dying.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Yeah, definitely. But I heard that story and I was like, I don't know if it was me. I don't know if I started in the paranormal.
I that's why
That would scare the shit out of me.
yeah, I still think about that to this day. That was a long time. But yeah, I avoided it for years. It just got to a point where it was like, look, I either need to grab it by the horn or my life's going to be anxiety miserable. It's going to be miserable if
Yeah,
I didn't try to grip something by the horns and at least take a little bit of the power away from it and put on, get some more power on my end.
yeah. Well, I think you're very brave.
Yeah.
Or
I
stupid.
think you're very. No, not stupid. Because if you were stupid, you wouldn't have studied.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but listen, I feel like this. If you can learn something to try to help yourself to defend against these things or help yourself withstand these things or overcome them or protect yourself, man, you got to do it. Because if you don't, your life's going to be, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. These things know that.
Yep, exactly. That's why. That's what makes you smart. Because there's a lot of people who just don't do that. They will go into the paranormal without thinking about that.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can, yeah, and I always say fear is an illusion. Okay,
Mm.
it's just like a defense mechanism. Like I'm not really afraid of any of that stuff, but yeah, you could spook me. Like if I'm laying down in a quiet place and it sounds like somebody slammed a stainless steel pan on against the floor, I'm gonna hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Definitely. I'm looking at the questions. I think we have everything except for the last question.
Yeah.
The biggest questions, which I'm going to leave to Mary again.
Oh my God, you.
My throat does not want to do that anymore, I swear.
There's going to be the time that because of that question, people say no to us.
They will never. We're too funny.
Okay, okay. What do you hope to achieve in the paranormal and on your radio show? And let's say a few years.
Mhm. Well, what I'd hope to achieve is even take the network that I produced to take it even higher. I mean, we're up to 1.5 million downloads per show. That's just on all the other apps, and then another 179,000 subscribers on YouTube. Hopefully, we can keep growing with that.
Yeah,
And and on my own show, the same thing. Want to keep it going, and then find more great guests to come on that maybe something they will say will enlighten somebody to like, you know what, I need to not do that, or I need to do this. Next time I go out here, maybe I should try that. That's great. That's power knowledge, man. If we can get that conveyed to somebody that may save them from a lifetime of misery by doing something they didn't know they shouldn't do, or maybe doing something they should do.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, very nice answer. Yeah, I
absolutely.
love the answer. I swear.
Okay, if people want to follow you, go ahead. Where do they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok. I think it's Dr JC, Dr Paranormal, Night Dreams Talk Radio, or just punch
JC.
in James Creechbaum. You should find me on there, one of the two. I'm on X, same thing. Dr. JC, Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, or James Creechbaum. One of those should bring you to me. Um,
Hello, Moto.
Facebook, even. I got a phone call in the middle of this. You can find me on Facebook under James Creechbaum, easy to find. You know,
Cool. I
that's the
think
three main places.
we have to say to people, just go ahead and follow this man because he's amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. Maybe I'm just
Well,
stupid.
no, you're
no.
not stupid. I know a lot of stupid people. You're not one of them.
I try not to be.
No, 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 no. You're great in that regard.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Enjoyed coming on. Anytime I can come on, maybe something I say can, make somebody at least stop and think about what they're doing before they just dive into things.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I think you do um get the how do you say that? You get through to people in that regard.
I hope so. I try to, you know, because I look at it like this. Whenever I was going, I didn't have nobody. I just had to learn it, you know, on my own. Because
Yeah.
the 70s and 80s was way different times than it is now.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the problem is now people want to learn alone instead of going to
Yeah.
ask for help to somebody who does know what they're doing.
Right, right.
Yeah. Weird times. Weird times.
And I appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate meeting you, and thank you so much, Mary. Anytime I can come on and help, I'd love to. Thank you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
You will come on again.
And I'll probably usually on Saturday, I usually do a TikTok live. It won't let me, because I don't have 10,000 followers yet, so it won't let me.
Yes, you have.
Huh?
You have 10,000. Oh, no. You have more than 1,000.
Yeah, I got like 1,200 or 1,100 or
Yeah.
something, but so it restricts me what I can do. But I still can come on live, and I try to. I'll tell something in one of my cases or something I've been through, and just talk about something. Maybe might educate somebody on something. Usually, I'll probably come on tonight. Usually every Saturday I come on for at least a half hour and talk. So you can join me tonight.
Yeah.
What time?
If I'm still awake, because I have a lung infection, so I have to go to bed early.
Right, because it's going to be 9, 10 o'clock Eastern time, so you've got to add 6 hours onto that.
Ah.
I think I'm gonna be asleep.
You guys will be in bed, yeah.
Yeah, because now it's 9:47 here.
Yeah. It's 3:47 here, yeah. Midday.
Yeah.
Yeah, with us it's evening.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well.
So I'll probably be asleep. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Understandable.
If I ever make it, I will.
Yeah.
We sure will.
More than
I will
merry.
definitely will.
And thank you for the opportunity to come on and maybe something I said might enlighten somebody to at least, before you do anything, pick up a book or look online, do some research,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think you might have reached out to people, definitely.
I hope so.
There's always one that listens.
If just one, if you're just going to get to one, then it was worth it.
Exactly. All right, then we want to thank you
Yes.
for joining us, and it's been an honor. It's been a complete
Yes,
honor.
thank you so much.
And we take the opportunity to tell everyone next week we will be airing from StreamYard on our Things in the Netherlands like page, but we have a special guest. So if you want to learn anything about our friend Rob Demarest, write down your questions and you have your chance next Thursday.
Yep, you do.
All right.